Good evening, students. Good evening, Om Krishna. Very happy to see that your started came in before everyone. That shows your enthusiasm for the subject. Very good. Good afternoon, everyone. Everyone else who's joined in. Very good. So today we are discussing a very interesting topic and very important topic because this is a very practical topic wherein we will talk about what is the place of supply. Why am I saying that it's very interesting topic is because the scenario what I gave, did I give you a scenario of a person traveling in a train and what will be the GST he will charge? Did we discuss that? Yes, we did discuss, right? So in such scenarios, you will get to know the answer of this by knowing the place of supply. As we had discussed, the time of supply is there. First, three things are there in a levy. Supply, we know definitely we have gone through a definition of supply. Second is the time of supply. When is the time you call it as a supply that we'll read in the next chapter. There are two factors. We'll understand this with the example so that we know why place of supply is very important. I'll give you a scenario. There is one person who is supplying goods from his state. He is from the state of Tamil Nadu. Now he is supplying it to his customer. Now customer is in Karnataka. Now location of the supplier is in Tamil Nadu and location of the customer is in Karnataka. So what will be the GST which he will charge? Interstate supply. Place of recipient is in Karnataka. So everyone is saying that it has to be IGST. But that is the wrong answer. Because the determination, what you have done is on the basis that the location of supplier and location of recipient is in two different states. So it is a interstate supply. But that is not the correct way to locate things. The correct way to find out thing is whether it's an interstate supply or an intrastate supply is to see the location of supplier and place of supply. Okay, so you will have to see the location of supplier and place of supply. In the scenario which I just shared, I've just told you that the recipient's location is in Karnataka, but I did not say that place of supply is in Karnataka. So you assumed that the place of supply is in Karnataka and you gave a wrong answer. So that's the reason you see in case of goods also, even though it is tangible, the location of supplier and place of supply is the relevant factor for goods as well as services. So we have to see what is the location of supplier and what is the place of supply to decide if it is an interstate or an intrastate transaction. Okay. Another important aspect we'll see is a different scenario of services. So when services are provided, okay, now when you have, you know that whenever we have some services also, you can be, the services are provided to a registered person or provided to an unregistered person. Let's take a scenario that a service is provided to a registered person. Now, what is this service? This service is that a company sends its employee for traveling for marketing expenses. It sent its employee to another state and the company is registered in the state of Maharashtra and it sent its employee to the state of Kolkata. Now, when it sent its distributor to Kolkata, Kolkata hotel person allowed him to stay. And while he was living, the person who came to stay, that employee, when he left, of course, he has to pay the charges for that, for his stay. Now, when he paid the charges, the hotel person, what will he charge? Great. So I was expecting a different answer here because first answer, how did you guys give interstate? Because you had assumed that the place of supply is in another state. So here you guys know that in case of a services which involves immobile property, so any services in relation to an immobile property, the place of supply is where that immobile property is located, correct? So in this case, since the immobile property is located in Kolkata, the hotel in Kolkata will charge CGST and SGST, even though he will give the GST number of Maharashtra, he will still charge him CGST and SGST because it is an intrastate supply. समझ में आ रहा है ना? क्या intrastate supply है, क्या interstate supply है? जब लोकेशन ऑफ सप्लायर और प्लेस ऑफ सप्लाई एक ही स्टेट में है तब इंट्रास्टेट सप्लाई होगा, और लोकेशन ऑफ सप्लाई और प्लेस ऑफ सप्लाई अलग स्टेट में है तब इंटरस्टेट रहेगा, करेक्ट? इतना तो हम समझ गए। अब थोड़ा और समझ लेंगे। इन दैट सिनारियो ऑफ दिस मार्केटिंग person going and staying there, now the hotel is charging CGST and SGST. Now since this is revisionary class, you guys know about input tax credit. So now tell me, will the company, because ultimately for this marketing person, the company will reimburse it. So when the company pays the amount for reimbursement to this employee and he gives a bill wherein CGST and SGST of Kolkata is charged, can the company claim the input credit of this bill? Ayushi is saying yes, you can claim it. No, not for employees, Om Krishan. Employees, employees is fine, Om Krishan, but the ultimate thing is that it is not for the employee's personal use. Okay? It is for the official use. तो आप ये मत समझिए कि एम्प्लॉय का है तो क्रेडिट नहीं मिलेगा। एम्प्लॉय का है फिर भी वो किसके लिए पे कर रहा है? ऑफिस पर्पस के लिए पे कर रहा है, तब इट इज अलोड एक्सपेंस। लेकिन क्या क्रेडिट मिलेगा इसका? If it is a distinct person, Nagesh, I didn't understand your point. यहाँ पे distinct person का point ही नहीं आएगा ना?
सर उस स्टेट में अगर उनका रजिस्ट्रेशन रहता है तो
ठीक है, you're assuming कि वहां पे registration है तो फिर वहां पे claim कर सकते हैं, बट मेरे एग्जाम्पल में वहां पे कुछ भी मैंने नहीं बताया, इसका मतलब वहां पे कुछ भी नहीं है, they don't have any kind of branch over there, तब क्या हो?
देन नो सर, आई डोंट।
Then okay, so it is very clear in GST that when you are taking any services from other state and the supplier is charging IGST, then you can claim the credit. But if the supplier is charging CGST and SGST of that state's credit cannot be claimed in this state. So even though you are using it for business purposes, the CGST and SGST charged in Kolkata cannot be claimed in Maharashtra. Okay, so that is the problem with GST, that even though the consumption is happening here, even though the recipient is here, since the consumption is happening in that state itself, so you cannot claim the credit of the CGST and SGST charge in that state. Okay. So now let's get into what all are the, since we know the basics now, let's get into the topic. What all will we learn? We'll know what is the place of supply, why place of supply is important, that we already got to know. What is a B2B and B2C transaction? What is the place of supply other than goods imported or exported from India, which is covered under section 10 of the IGST law. So most of the provisions in this chapter is dealt with IGST law. Why? Because the constitution gave power to the central government to specify the rules to determine what is the place of supply and when place of supply will be treated as interstate or intrastate. So since the power is there with the central government, they have mentioned this in the Integrated Goods and Service Tax Act. And then section 12, in case of place of supply of services where both the location of supplier and location of recipient is in India, then it is covered under section 12. Even if one of them, that is the location of supplier or location of recipient, either one of them is outside India, then the section 12 will not apply. Section 12 applies only in case where the location of supplier and location of recipient, both of them are in India. Okay. And then we'll learn about what is an interstate supply. Section 7, both simple. Section 8 on intrastate supply and supplies in territorial waters in section 9. What are the taxes to be paid correctly? That is in case of a intrastate, CGST and SGST. What happens instead of CGST and SGST, IGST is played? What will happen? To know कि हाँ हमने place of supply तो determine कर लिया है, लेकिन गलती से if you have paid wrong taxes, what is the repercussions? ITC not allowed. Okay. So ITC is not allowed to the receiver, but from a supplier's perspective, you are supplying and you have to pay the correct tax. Now, अगर आपने correct tax नहीं pay किया, तो उसका क्या implication? गवर्नमेंट माफ कर देगी, ठीक है, वैसे भी CGST प्लस SGST IGST, आपने CGST SGST पे करना था, उस जगह पे IGST पे कर दिया, ठीक है, टैक्सेस आपने पे कर दिया, माफ। क्या वैसे माफ करेगी? यू कैन रिवाइज। अच्छा, कैसे रिवाइज करते हैं? अगर आपने आपके रिटर्न्स में CGST SGST बता दिया है एंड यू पेड द टैक्स आल्सो, हाउ कैन यू रिवाइज इट? तो फिर क्या वो टैक्सेस आपको रिफंड आ जाएगा ऑटोमेटिकली? Oh my God. You're using words like fine, that you have to take refund of GST correctly, plus fine needs to be paid. No, there is no option of that. And there is no transfer option also, because whatever taxes you have paid, that has gone to the government, they will not transfer it from one head to another head. वो नहीं होगा. So what you will have to do is, like how partly Ayushi told it correctly, that you have to pay the correct taxes. आपने CGST SGST गलती से पे कर दिया, आपको IGST पे करना था, आप amend करेंगे, there is no option to revise, there is only option to amend it. तो आप transaction को interstate दिखाएंगे, but taxes which is wrongly paid cannot be adjusted. So you have to pay the correct taxes once you realize that there's a mistake and claim the refund of the wrong tax. So that is the process which has to be followed, that you will have to apply for refund of the wrong tax which is paid. But that refund will come only if you prove that you have paid the correct taxes. So correct tax has to be paid and the wrong taxes has to be claimed as a refund. Take another case. What is place of supply? It is a constitution empowered union to make rules. Hence, only it is there in IGST. And what is place of supply? Place of supply is the place where the supply is actually consumed, because we are dealing with GST, which is a consumption based tax. और consumption कहाँ हुआ, वहाँ वो जगह को जानने के लिए place of supply is very important. So in this section or in this part of the your study, this part of your subject, we will see that we will be dealing with multiple facets. One is supply of goods. Goods का place of supply देखना बहुत easy है, because goods जहाँ पे move होके और किसकी responsibility के basis पे deliver हो रहा है, that can be easily found out. That is easy to find out, no problem. But in case of services, बहुत सारे complications आ जाते हैं. So we'll have various scenarios to understand what is the place of supply in case of provision of service. But the catch is, the place of supply, what we think, is not what is there. What is there in the law? हमको लगता है कि ऐसा है. Just because we feel that this is the place of supply, that is not a correct place of supply. What is mentioned in the law? So artificially law ने बता दिया कि ये place of supply होना चाहिए, because services में बहुत सारे confusion हो सकते हैं. एक ये बोल सकता है, एक वो हो सकता है. तो उसको यूनिफॉर्मिटी के देने के लिए, to make that consistent, the law has said that this is the place of supply and you have to abide by it. So once they say that this is the place of supply, then we will stick on to that place of supply. Now, in a place of supply scenario for services, there are around 13 rules. So 13 rules are very simple because it's very easy to understand. But the point is, there are different 13 scenarios. So in each scenario, the case will be different. So you will have to remember these 13 scenarios to understand that. Otherwise, we will not be able to get through it, because logic may not be helpful in this case. So in some chapters, I've told that logic will be helpful. In this case, logic will not apply. Whatever is the place of supply which is defined in that section, we will have to remember that and apply that in the scenarios given. Okay? So what is the place of supply for goods? Where the goods move. Okay, मतलब जहाँ पे goods move हो सकते हैं. So it is tangible, so easily identifiable to determine. Correct? But in case of place of supply of services, it is difficult due to the manner of delivery. Service provider and service receiver may not be ascertainable, क्योंकि they may be moving. क्योंकि एक ही जगह से सर्विस प्रोवाइड करना जरूरी नहीं है, कहाँ से भी आप सर्विस प्रोवाइड कर सकते हो. तो सर्विस प्रोवाइडर एंड रिसीवर मे नॉट बी असर्टेनेबल. सर्विसेज में फ्लो इन मोर देन वन स्टेट. जैसे मैं सर्विस प्रोवाइड करता हूँ, that service could be that if it's a road construction service can go from one state to another state. Correct? Because interconnection के लिए स्टेट पे हाईवेज बनते हैं. that highways का प्रोजेक्ट ऐसा नहीं कि स्टेट खत्म हो गया फिर बॉर्डर से दूसरा स्टेट, वो भी नहीं होगा, बिकॉज इट इज गिवन बाय द नेशनल हाईवे अथॉरिटी ऑफ इंडिया. वो बोलेंगे कि ये स्ट्रेच करना है, बीच में अगर दो स्टेट्स आते हैं फिर भी आपको करना ही है. So services, such cases may flow from one in between two states, correct? And the actual place of consumption of service may vary. The actual place of consumption of the service may vary, wherein where it is being consumed we don't know. So iske liye, to make it determinative, saying that it can be made at one place, that place will be mentioned in this place of supply for services. Okay, so that's why place of supply is important. Now we'll understand what is, because we will use these terms very often in this provision. So we'll understand what is a B2B transaction, what is B2C transaction. You may not be aware of this because we are already learned this. What is a B2B transaction? This is a business to business transaction where you make a supply to a registered person. Okay, one registered person making supply to a recipient who is also a registered person, and he can claim the input tax credit. That is a B2B transaction. And when a registered person makes supply to a consumer who is not registered, he cannot take the credit. That is called as a B2C transaction. What is the place of supply for goods? We'll understand this, and then we'll go to the place of supply for services. The place of supply for goods is given in section 10 subsection 1. It says that where the supply involves movement of goods, the place of supply is different. So only few scenarios are there in place of supply for goods. Where the supply involves movement of goods, what the scenario will be different. Where the goods are delivered to some other person, not the person who has said that he will receive the goods, which means the person who is ordered may be different and the person who receives the delivery may be different. That is popularly called as bill to ship to transaction. मैं बिल कर रहा हूं ए को कि ए ने मुझे ऑर्डर दिया है, लेकिन शिप कर रहा हूं बी को. ठीक है, आई एम मेरा ऑर्डर आया था ए से डिलीवर करने के लिए, लेकिन जब मैं डिलीवरी कर रहा हूं तब उसका कॉल आ गया कि आप बी को शिप करो. सो आई विल शिप द गुड्स टू बी. So bill to A and ship to B. In that scenario, what is the place of supply? Third scenario where the supply not involving movements of goods. In first two cases, there was movement of goods. In third scenario, there will be no movement of goods. And fourth scenario is where the supply is assembled or installed at a site. The first two scenarios are general scenarios. And now in case of special scenarios where the goods are assembled are installed at a site, what will be the place of supply? And the fifth scenario is where what will be the place of supply when the goods are supplied on board a conveyance. Okay, when the goods are supplied on board a conveyance, what will be the place of supply? So we'll go with one by one. First, we'll start with supply involving movement of goods. The place of supply provision section 10(1)(a). 10(1) हो गया. 1(a) scenario says that where the supply is involving movement of goods. आपके supply में, not in terms of whether you supply, or say for example you have a contract for a laptop selling. You have to sell the laptop. Now these laptops are movable and the supply involves movement. It is not whether goods are movable or immovable. The point what they're trying to mention in the law is whether the supply involves movement. When will supply not involve movement? अगर movable goods है तो हर situation में supply movement होगा. What do you think can be a situations where goods are movable but supply does not involve movement? Did you get my question? I'll repeat it. The fact in the law under section 10(1)(a) says the supply involves movement and they have not used goods involve movement. So इसका मतलब कुछ तो फर्क है. They have thought of the distinction and they have told supply involves movement and not goods. So generally supply will involve goods. So when the goods are movement हो सकता है. But can you identify or think of a scenario where the supply involves, where it's a movable goods, but supply does not involve movement of goods? लिफ्ट के केस में भी आप जब लिफ्ट का ऑर्डर देते हो तब मुझे लिफ्ट को सप्लाई करना ही पड़ेगा. लीज ट्रांजैक्शन, बट वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट गुड्स. लीज कैन बी वन, बट वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट गुड्स. मशीनरी ऑन हायर. मशीनरी भी अगर आपको हायर में चाहे तो उसको तो मुझे आपको मूव करना पड़ेगा. तो उस सप्लाई के लिए मूवमेंट ऑफ गुड्स जरूरी है. Go down sale. Okay, in case of go down sale, what will happen? It's a immovable property. So immovable property is outside supply. Is outside the scope of supply itself because go down एक immovable property हो जाता है. Here comes the point. Sale under hire purchase agreement. After hire purchase agreement, क्योंकि hire purchase में क्या होगा? You will move the goods. और वो hire purchase का term खत्म होने के बाद, after the end of the hire purchase, if you sell those goods, then what is happening? The goods are already with the customer. So in such scenario, supply will not involve movement of goods. So that will not come here. So any kind of a transaction where the goods are already with the customer for whatever reason, and then the sale takes place. That will be a scenario where the supply does not involve movement of goods. जैसे मशीनरी मैंने हायर पे दिया था, it is movable. और वो जब मैंने हायर पे दिया था, that became supply involving movement of goods. लेकिन हायर खत्म होने के बाद I am selling that machinery to the customer. In such scenario, what is happening? Sale is goods are already with him, so supply will not involve movement. Okay, sale on approval basis, that also can be said so, because आपने already supply कर दिया, now you are only making a sale, लेकिन movement नहीं हो रहा है because correct कोमलप्रीत, customer के पास already वो goods है. Shopping from store, yes, उसमें क्या होगा? Whenever you go to a store, आपके supply में movement involved है ना, so that will be covered under supply involving movement. ऐसा नहीं कि कस्टमर सप्लायर ने बस वहां पड़ा था आपको दे दिया है, बट कहीं से तो मूव तो करेगा, एटलीस्ट उसके रैक से निकाल के आपको देगा. सो इट इज कवर्ड अ केस ऑफ सप्लाई इन्वॉल्विंग मूवमेंट ऑफ गुड्स, इवन इन केस व्हेन यू डू शॉपिंग फ्रॉम एनी स्टोर. नाउ द सप्लाई इन्वॉल्विंग मूवमेंट, यहाँ पे क्या हो सकता है? द मूवमेंट कैन बी मेड बाय द सप्लायर और बाय द कस्टमर, एनी ऑफ देम. कोई भी मूव कर सकता है. इट्स नॉट नेसेसरी कि सप्लायर को ही डिलीवरी देना है. अगर कस्टमर भी डिलीवरी रहता है बट उस ट्रांजैक्शन में मूवमेंट इन्वॉल्व है, तो इस सिनारियो में all of that will get covered in these scenarios. When we purchase fully furnished office, very good example. When we purchase a fully furnished office, furniture is already there, does not require movement. That is a good example of supply not involving movement of goods. So when the goods involve movement, when the supply involves movement, the place of supply is the location of the goods at the time when the movement of the goods terminates for delivery to the recipient. So the place of supply is the location of the goods. Where is the goods at the time of at the time when the movement of goods terminates? Movement है खत्म हो गया, जहां पे खत्म होगा, that will be the place of supply. Terminates is where it ends. Machinery given on rent and rail to sale to the same party. Correct, Abhishek. That is also a case of supply not involving movement of goods. And when supply involves movement of goods, wherever that journey of that goods terminates, that is the place of supply. ये तो हम जानते हैं. अगर मैंने यहाँ से अगर if I've done any kind of a transfer, I've agreed that I will sell some goods to you. Now I've agreed and you are in a different state. So this movement, when I am making this movement to you, that is the place of supply, since the goods are getting handed over at your place. Now let's come back to our first question. First question which I asked is, a person from Tamil Nadu is selling some goods to a person in Karnataka. Now in this scenario, there is supply involving movement of goods. तो इस केस में क्या होगा? अगर कस्टमर सेज दैट आई विल कम टू योर लोकेशन एंड बाय द गुड्स, आपको डिलीवरी करने की जरूरत नहीं है, मैं वहां से ही आपके यहाँ से डिलीवरी ले लूंगा. सो इन दैट केस आई द बायर, okay, the buyer in Karnataka goes to Tamil Nadu and takes the delivery of the goods. So उस केस में प्लेस ऑफ सप्लाई क्या होगा? Correct. In that case, the location of supplier, which is Tamil Nadu itself, will be the place of supply. So in such scenario, just because the customer is in Karnataka, आप ये decide नहीं कर सकते कि place of supply is in Karnataka. Where is the delivery, the goods getting terminated? That is important. तो इस केस में goods का delivery supplier का खत्म हो जाता है at his factory gate, क्योंकि customer ही आके यहाँ से खरीद रहा है. तो फिर तमिलनाडु itself will be the place of supply. Supply involving bill to ship to transaction. will be the place of supply of such goods. The place of supply of such goods shall be the principal place of business of such third person. ठीक है, इस सिनारियो को हम थोड़ा समझ लेते ताकि if there is any question, so we know it theoretically, लेकिन practical अगर कुछ क्वेश्चन आ गया है तो फिर आप कैसे हैंडल करोगे. गणेश ट्रेडर्स इज अ सप्लायर. उसको मारुति ट्रेडर्स ने बोला कि भाई मेरे को एक ट्रक भर के कॉटन बेच दे. सो गणेश ट्रेडर्स has agreed that he will sell to Maruti traders a truck full of cotton. लेकिन उसने कहा कि don't deliver it to me, you deliver it to Prime Hardwares. Prime Hardwares मेरा कस्टमर है, so you deliver directly to Prime Hardwares. So he said okay. तो गणेश ट्रेडर्स इज शिपिंग टू तमिलनाडु, लेकिन ऑर्डर कहाँ से मिला है? मेरे को मिला है मारुति ट्रेडर्स हु इज इन कर्नाटका. तो इन सच सिनारियो आई एम शिपिंग इट टू तमिलनाडु. शिपिंग तो तमिलनाडु कर रहा हूं, लेकिन बिलिंग किसको कर रहा हूं मैं? मारुति ट्रेडर्स को. सो मेरा प्लेस ऑफ सप्लाई क्या हो जाएगा? Place of supply becomes Karnataka, because in case of bill to ship to transactions, even if you are shipping to anybody, but billing address becomes relevant, or billing address ho jayega Karnataka because we are billing to Karnataka, correct? And this becomes a IGST transaction. Even the goods are moving, उसके लिए बिलिंग कौन करेगा? मारुति ट्रेडर्स बिल करेगा प्राइम हार्डवेयर को, वो अलग से बिल कर देगा IGST. So this will be the third person, because मैं bill कर रहा हूँ prime hardware को. Prime hardware will not become the third person. In this definition, if you see, the place of supply बोलता है कि the place of business of such third person. The third person is the person who has given you the order. In this scenario, again Maruti traders है महाराष्ट्र में, ठीक है, लेकिन goods move हो रहे हैं कर्नाटका को. So I will still not charge IGST because movement वहां पे will not be there. Billing address will be the place of supply. Correct. किसको मैं bill करता हूँ, that will be the place of supply, because on that person's behalf or on instructions of that person, I'm supplying it to the another state. That is not my concern. I'm only delivering it there, but supply is to Maruti traders. Yes, Ayushi.
Sir, as you told earlier कि जो हम बिल टू सप्लाई, जहाँ से हमें सप्लाई का ऑर्डर मिला है, हम उसी का नाम, हम उसी के ऊपर बिल बनाएंगे और उसी को इंट्रा स्टेट में जीएसटी देंगे, CGST और SGST. अब सर ऐसा हो कि आई एम इन गुजरात और मैंने महाराष्ट्र में ऑर्डर दिया है. अब मैंने मेरा रजिस्ट्रेशन गुजरात में ही है और मैंने महाराष्ट्र के रजिस्टर्ड पर्सन को ऑर्डर दिया है, बट मैं महाराष्ट्र गुड्स को लेने जा रही हूँ.
Okay.
तो क्या आएगा? इंट्रा स्टेट आएगा या फिर इंटर स्टेट आएगा?
आपके हिसाब से कौन सा आएगा?
मेरे हिसाब से तो इंटर स्टेट आना चाहिए, क्योंकि मैं गुजरात में ही हूँ और मेरा पूरा बिलिंग गुजरात में का ही हुआ है.
करेक्ट, आप गुजरात में हो, ठीक है, लेकिन गुड्स कहाँ पे टर्मिनेट हो रहे हैं?
महाराष्ट्र में.
तो फिर महाराष्ट्र का ही टैक्स लगेगा. प्लेस ऑफ सप्लाई महाराष्ट्र ही रहेगा. आपको वहां पे क्रेडिट नहीं मिल रहा है, तो इसीलिए
ओके
आप क्या कर रहे हो? गुजरात का GST नंबर दे रहे हो
ओके,
ताकि
तो
आपको क्रेडिट मिल सके. बट एक्चुअल में थियोरेटिकली देखेंगे तो
हाँ.
प्लेस ऑफ सप्लाई विल बी द प्लेस वेयर द गुड्स आर गेटिंग टर्मिनेटेड. सप्लायर का रेस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी, सप्लायर का
ओके.
टर्मिनेशन महाराष्ट्र में ही खत्म हो रहा है, तो फिर प्लेस ऑफ सप्लाई महाराष्ट्र होना चाहिए.
महाराष्ट्र. ओके, थैंक यू.
Okay, so then we understood place of first part and second part, जहाँ पे build to ship to is happening. Now, third scenario is place of supply of goods, where the supply is not involving movement of goods. Everybody has given the scenario. हम लोग ने scenarios देख लिया है. In case of leased goods are already sold, when in case of purchase of pre-installed furnitures, all of that. The place of supply in such case is the location of the goods. Again, location of the goods. Wherever the location of the goods are available at the time of delivery to the recipient. So जहाँ पे goods पड़े हैं, wherever they have kept, that will be the place of supply. Fourth scenario, supply involving installation or assembly of goods. Okay. In a case of supply involving installation or assembly of goods, जहाँ पे आपको installation करना है, then what will be the place of supply? The place of supply is a place of such installation. जैसे आपको बोल दिया गया कि एयर कंडीशनर मुझे इंस्टॉल करना है, उस सप्लाई में एयर कंडीशनर में इंस्टॉल करूंगा तब भी सप्लाई खत्म होगा. Correct? The supply gets completed once I install that air conditioner. Otherwise, the customer will not pay me. So the place of supply is where I complete the installation. Installation can be in this state or it can be in other state. When I've agreed that I'll make the installation in other state, the place where I install it, that will be the place of supply.
Hello, sir.
Yes, sir.
Sir, sir,
Please.
if Maharashtra, some shop is there, sir.
Okay.
From Gujarat, somebody has ordered for goods. So then it will be IGST. If that Gujarat person has gone to Maharashtra shop and purchased the goods in the shop, then it will be CGST, SGST. Am I correct, sir?
That was what. Correct.
Hello.
You're right. You're right, sir. Is my voice audible?
Okay, thank you, sir. Yes, sir. Yes. If he is ordered, it is IGST. If he has gone to the shop and purchased, it will be CGST, SGST.
Correct.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
So in installation services, where the goods are getting installed, that will be the place of supply, or it could be assembling also. In case of lift, somebody was saying an example of a lift, wherein lift has to be installed by the supplier itself. So the place where the lift is getting installed, that is the place of supply. And a final scenario in case of supply of goods, where the goods are supplied on board a conveyance. Okay, where the goods are supplied on board a conveyance. Conveyance would mean what? Any process of transporting or carrying someone from one place to another. So whatever vehicles we use, any kind of transportation which we use, which they have specifically said, it includes a vessel, aircraft, train, or a motorcycle. So whatever modes, when the goods are supplied, when any conveyance is used and any goods are supplied in that conveyance, then what will be the place of supply? The place of supply shall be the location at which such goods are taken on board. Okay. सर अगर हम रजिस्टर ही डिलीवरी में और हम महाराष्ट्र जाके गुड बाई करते हैं तब क्या लगेगा? करेक्ट, फिर भी आपको महाराष्ट्र का ही जीएसटी लगाना चाहिए. प्रैक्टिकली क्या होता है वो अलग बात है. सब लोग क्या करेंगे, सब लोग दे देंगे कि मेरे को जीएसटी चाहिए, तो आपका ओरिजिनल स्टेट का जीएसटी दे देंगे और बोलेंगे आईजीएसटी चार्ज करो. लेकिन वो गलत है ना, क्योंकि गुड्स वहां पे टर्मिनेट हो ही नहीं रहे. इस केस में सर आईटीएससी क्रेडिट विल बी अवेलेबल और नो. सो दिस in that case where the place of supply is in a different state, that he will charge CGST, SGST. That credit cannot be claimed in your state. Similar to that hotel example, when CGST and SGST of any other state is charged, you cannot claim credit of it. Okay. So what happens when you on when you supply any goods on board. So let's take a scenario that you are traveling in a flight. Flight is moving from Delhi to Bangalore. आप उस फ्लाइट में हो and you have ordered कि 3 घंटे लग जाएंगे, let me watch a movie. Okay, so you watch a movie and for that movie you have to pay some charge. Okay, so you paid some charges. Now when it came to GST, that air company got confused, saying that where did you consume it, we don't know. So what will be the place of supply for that charges what they're living for watching the movie? Delhi. Okay. What about others? What are you thinking of? What is the basis for everyone being so very consistent and telling it is Delhi? Because first point of departure, place of supply would be Delhi as per 10(1)(e) from the place where we took it to board. Okay. Are you sure? Okay. So this is called as visual deceptiveness. कि हम जो सोचते हैं वही पढ़ते हैं. Now everybody is saying that since this is mentioned, which is the place of supply shall be the location at which such goods are taken on board, you are thinking that on board वहाँ पे हो जाएगा. But read between the lines and read the heading importantly. It says that the place of supply in which scenario when the goods are supplied on board. क्या आपके सिनारियो में मूवी देखना goods है? तो मेरा क्वेश्चन इसलिए था गूगली डालने के लिए कि on a Sunday afternoon having heavy lunch, are you awake or no? Which means that you guys had a very sumptuous lunch and you're dozing it off. Okay, be careful. When we are talking of a scenario, this scenario may look similar, but it is different. So we are talking of a scenario of supply of service, and 10(1)(e) says place of supply of goods. That is not the correct answer, because in case goods are supplied on board, then this will come. But for services supplied on board, wait, we will come to that scenario. That time you will get the correct answer. But this scenario will not apply. Place of supply of goods will not be applicable for our situation. Okay, clear with that?
Sir, here the place of supply and location of supply both will be the place where goods are taken on board, na sir?
In which case?
This flight, sir, Delhi to Chennai flight.
Correct.
Both place of supply and location of supply are where goods are taken on board. That is Delhi. Both it is place of supply and location of supply. Both are Delhi, sir. Is it correct,
No,
sir?
not necessary. Not necessary, because place of supply will be where the goods are supplied on board, but the location of supplier is the defined in the law. Location of supplier is where the supplier is registered. Where the supplier has taken registration, that is the location of the supplier. Now, it is possible that the flight is taking from Delhi, but the flight company has a registered office in Bangalore.
Okay.
So the place of supply will become Bangalore, it will not become Delhi.
So then it will be IGST.
Correct.
Okay.
Now I'll give you another scenario, since once we have realized that what we have to do. सर एक प्लेस को बिल करके दूसरे प्लेस को मटेरियल भेजे तो चलेगा क्या? हाँ, बिल टू शिप टू चलेगा मल्लू. बिल टू शिप टू इज दैट कॉन्सेप्ट वेर इन इट सेज दैट you can bill from one entity and ship to another entity. That is permitted. Now let's take a different scenario. Now you realize that you have to be careful while answering, because your CA students, normal baby questions will not come to you. You will get only complicated questions. So let's take a scenario. You have a flight from same Delhi to Mumbai. Now, because of the traffic, the Delhi direct flight you did not get. So you had a via flight, wherein from Delhi it will go to Kolkata, and from Kolkata you will come to Mumbai. Okay. Now, when the flight person said that you will get a via flight, you said, boss, it's taking too much of time. Oops, what should I do? He said, sir, don't worry. We will serve food for you so that you can enjoy the flight. So now food is being served. Apart from food, they gave you books also. So books is also served. Now, when the flight moved from Delhi to Kolkata, the books were brought in. From Delhi to Kolkata, you could not read books. From Kolkata, when the flight landed and some other passengers came in, there they sold you a book for 500 rupees. You bought a book. Okay. Now, once you bought a book from Kolkata to Mumbai, now they want to charge you GST. Once you landing at Mumbai, they saw that this book you have bought, sir, pay me 500 rupees plus GST. Now, what will be the GST they will charge for the book? The flight person is saying, sir, since you onboarded in Delhi, I will charge you Delhi GST. Delhi, because ticket was of via. Okay, so you're saying Delhi. First point of boarding is Delhi. As it is goods, they can charge Delhi GST. Okay. So now let us understand this proviso. Where the goods are supplied on board a conveyance, the place of supply shall be the location at which such goods are taken on board. Okay. It doesn't say where the journey starts. जहां पे आपने goods को on board लिया है, where you have taken the goods on board, that is the place of supply. तो इसमें बुक्स कहाँ पे लिया है, दिल्ली से या कोलकाता से? कोलकाता से ऑन बोर्ड हुए हैं. ऑन बोर्ड मतलब जो चढ़ाने का है. So where you stuff the goods, where you fill the goods, that is called as onboarding of the goods. Where the goods are taken on board, that is the place of goods being loaded. In our example, it was loaded in Kolkata. So the place of supply will be Kolkata. Clear now? So this is the 5 scenarios of supply of goods. Books were loaded in Delhi. In case books were loaded, you are changing the facts, Komalpreet, or are you saying that books were loaded? In my scenario, the books were loaded in Kolkata. In your case, if you have a scenario where the books were loaded in Delhi, then even if the customer onboards in Kolkata, right? Like since our scenario was the books were loaded in Kolkata, but if books were loaded in Delhi and some customers boarded in Kolkata, even then you will charge Delhi GST, because Delhi GST and SGST depends on where the location of supply is. So basically the place of supply will be Delhi itself. Now let's go to place of supply for services. So place of supply of goods बहुत simple था, समझ में आ गया, not much of complications. Complications तो part तो यहाँ पे है in case of place of supply of services. So place of supply of services, why we cannot easily determine. Firstly, we know that it is a intangible. तो फिर services कहाँ से भी हो सकता है. Apart from that, the other criteria is the location of service provider may change. The various proxies, मतलब the various proxies for determining place of supply of services, मतलब बहुत सारे touch points हैं. तो इसीलिए supply of service बहुत मुश्किल हो जाता है, and it is not ascertainable easily. अगर it is kept open-ended, that wherever the services are provided, where the services are provided, to determine that it takes time, right? That's where location, there are various proxies. What are the various proxies or various touch points? One is location of service provider, location of service receiver, the place of performance can be somewhere else, the place of consumption can be somewhere else. You can perform the service somewhere, but the consumption can be elsewhere. And the actual beneficiary or the person who's receiving the service may be different, because you may perform something here, the actual beneficiary may be somebody else. I'll give an example to understand this. This is software service hota hai. A company gives software service. Okay. Now, when they give the software service, they have to do some modification. Now, company can be in state A, who is providing the service. Receiver can be B, but the receiver company is registered in B, but the customers for that can be in state C. जैसे software service में you provide a software, लेकिन on site जाना पड़ता है software के लिए. That on site can be in a different state than the state of the recipient. So in that case, there could be that actual beneficiary is in a different state. BPO service, any call center service हम देखते हैं, you call a customer care. Customer care क्या आपके लिए service कर रही है? Customer care is doing that service for the Airtel company. Airtel company तो कहीं और registered है. Customer can be somewhere else. So the place of performance is in Delhi. Place of consumption, say the call center is located in Delhi, that's the place of performance. Place of consumption is Airtel, which can be registered in Maharashtra. And I am a ultimate beneficiary who is getting the benefit of that call center, which I am in Karnataka. तो तीन अलग state में touch points हो सकते हैं. So that's why the place of supply is set that if there are multiple proximities, we will decide. And then the section 12 came in and said that for different scenarios, what will be the place of supply. So before getting into place of supply for services, we will understand the important definition of location of supplier of goods and location of supplier of services and location of receiver of services. Sorry, location of supplier of service and location of receiver of the service. The location of supplier of service is where the supply is made from the place of business for which registration is obtained. So you have a place of business and for which you have obtained a registration. Okay, so the location of supplier of service के लिए there are multiple facets. We'll go with one by one. the location of supply or service where the supply is made from the place of business for which registration is obtained. Location of such place of business is the location of supplier. Okay, so if he has a place of business and that place of business is registered, then that location is the location of supplier, where the supply is made from a fixed establishment anywhere. मतलब आपने एक place of business है लेकिन आपका कोई और fixed establishment है और आप वहां से service provide करते हो, because the important point is supply made from. So if the supply is made from a different place, then location of such fixed establishment is the location of the supplier. तो अगर आप ऐसा नहीं है कि आपका registered place है तो हमेशा that will be the location of supplier. From where you are providing the service, that is important. So if you are providing service from the place of business where you are registered, that is a place of business. If you are providing from any other place, right, you can have an on-site office. Okay, so very popularly we see this in construction activities, that you are having your main office here, but you have to do the construction at the site. Okay, that is you're using it for a long period of time. Okay, so that will become a fixed establishment. So if you have any fixed establishment elsewhere, from there you're providing a service, that will become the location of the supplier. And if you're providing from more than one establishment, whether place of business or fixed establishment, so you're providing some from the head office, from that offsite, then location of the establishment which is most directly concerned with the such provision of service. So whichever is directly and most directly connected with that provision of supply will be treated as the location of supplier. Got it? So when you do a supply from a fixed establishment, from a establishment which is your principal place of business, and you've taken registration there, that is your place of supply. If you apply a fixed establishment elsewhere, it is not your registered place, then that can be there. If you're making from both the places, then half you cannot divide. So the location of that establishment which is directly concerned, that will be the location of supplier. In absence of any, you don't know which place, then the usual place of residence of the supplier. So if it's an individual, he's not having any place, then this residential place will be the place of location of the supplier. Got it? Because freelancers and things, we have seen that they provide services from various places. So for that, they have said that where freelancers are providing, they do not have a place of business, neither they have a fixed establishment. In such case, the usual place of residence will be the place of supply. And the location of supplier of goods. So this is only for services, mind you. Location of services is this. Location of supplier of goods is where the business is ordinarily carried out and where the goods themselves are located. If you are working from a godown, that is your location of the supplier. If you are having a small room in your house, then that is your location. So location of supplier of services is multifaceted. Location of supplier of goods, again simple, where the business is ordinarily carried out and where the goods are generally located, that is the location of supplier. Now similarly, location of recipient of services is the same thing. Location of recipient, where the supply is received at, that is supply made at, this is supply received at. The place of business for which registration is obtained, then that place. If no registration, if you're operating from a fixed establishment, then that place. If multiple things are involved, you receive here also, then which is most directly concerned, that is the place. And in the absence of any such place, again, usual place of residence. Got it till here? So this is the location of supplier, location of recipient. I'll leave you with this slide. We'll take 10 minutes break and then we'll continuously go and understand the supply of services. How to decide which place is most directly concerned? Very good question. How do we decide that? You will have to see the service. It is case specific. Each services where it is used. So if you are consuming electricity, which then you'll have separate bills. Now there could be software services where it is received at both. Now, which place it is directly used. So if you have a research center at one place and other place is only a head office. So it means at the research place you're using it. So each facts and circumstances will give you understanding that which is the place which is directly concerned with the receipt of service. We'll take a break of 10 minutes. So we just discussed on the definition, which is what is the location of supplier of services and location of recipient of services. So whenever we refer to these terms, we'll have to connect it over here, saying that what is the location of supplier and what is the location of the recipient. Now, the place of supply of services where both the location of the supplier and recipient are in India are covered under section 12, right? So 12 covers a scenario. What is the place of supply to be determined when the supplier and recipient are in India? The provisions of this section shall apply to determine the place of supply services when both are in India. Section 12 are in relation to domestic supply, and 13 are in relation to a case where suppliers, the service provider or the service receiver, one of them is outside India. It's not necessary that both should be outside India. Even if one of them is outside India, then that will get covered under section 13, which luckily is out of portions at the inter level. So that will be dealt at the final level. Now, what does 12, which is our provision, say is that if the first you have to get into 12, because first you have to decide whether it is section 12 or section 13. If both the location of supplier and the recipient are in India, then you will get into 12. 12, first you will check whether all the rules of 12 sub rule 3 to sub rule 14. So 3 to 14, this 12 rules you will check. Is any of these rules applicable to you? If you say yes, then you will apply that relevant rule. So if I say that if I go to 12.3 and to my service provision, that what services I am providing, for that 12.3 is relevant, then you will follow what is there in 12 subsection subrule 3. If 12.3 to 14 doesn't apply, because 12.3 to 14 are dealing with special rules. They are called as specific rules. So any of these specific rules are applicable, then you apply that relevant rule. If none of these rules apply, then you will go to the general rule, which is rule 12.2. Okay, so we'll go and apply general rule, which is 12.2. In specific scenarios, we'll go to 12.3 to 14. So even though 12.2 is the starting rule, we will use the 12.2 only if all the other rules are not applicable. Got it? So we'll go as per 12.2 to understand it. 12.2 is a general rule which applies for all services other than 12.3 to 12.14. So what does 12.2 says? 12.2 says that the rule provides for place of supply of services made to a registered person is the location of the person receiving the services. So if you're making normally no specific mention, general rule is if you're making any supply to a registered person, then the location of the person receiving the service. Now, what is the location of the person receiving the service? If he is registered, then that registered place. So since I'm making to a registered person, he is registered at one place, that will be the location of the person receiving the service. If you're making supply to any unregistered person, then the location of such unregistered person, when the address is available in your records, you are a supplier. Now, if you in your records you have the address of this unregistered person, then that will be the place. क्योंकि registered person है तो फिर आपको उसका GST number वगैरह mention करना पड़ता है. But unregistered person है तो you are not under obligation to maintain all these details. But if you have his address in any manner of correspondence, if you have it, then that will be there. But if the location of supplier of the service, when the location of receiver of the service is not known, तो फिर क्या करोगे आप? Your location itself will become the place of supply. ठीक है? So general rule क्या बोलता है? आप किसी सर्विस प्रोवाइड करते हो अगर registered person को, आप कहाँ पर भी प्रोवाइड करो, लेकिन वो registered person है, then उसका place of registration, that will become the location. So that location will be the place of supply. और अगर आप unregistered person को प्रोवाइड करते हो, so one is if you are providing registered person, आपको उसका GST number पता है, where he is registered, that also you know. That is the location, that will become the place of supply. और अगर अनरजिस्टर्ड पर्सन है तो फिर दो क्राइटेरिया हो सकते हैं, क्या उसका एड्रेस आपके पास है, देन दैट address will be the place of supply. Suppose you are dealing with a customer, he is not registered but he says that deliver to my address, तो address दे दिया है, so you have his address, so you will provide the services to his address itself. आप intangible services तो आप ऑनलाइन भी प्रोवाइड कर सकते हो. You have provided the service, now you have his address, so he is coming from Rajasthan, so Bangalore से Rajasthan IGST charge करना है, place of supply will be Rajasthan. Now if your customer is come, you have provided a service, जैसे एक dental है, dental doctor है, he has done some dental work to the patient, patient आया, काम किया, पैसे देके चला गया. अब वो कहाँ से आया you don't know, because he may be from outstation. So will you charge IGST in that case, or what tax will you charge? Did you understand my question? So when a dentist provides service to his patients and say on that he has to charge GST, what will it be, interstate or intrastate? Intrastate, correct. Because in case where the address is not available, it will be the location of supplier itself will be the place of supply. Because Act says not that you're performing here, that is the thing. Even if you might perform elsewhere, in case you're supplying it to an unregistered person, the location where service is received, nahi, because here the scenario doesn't say where service is received, where the location of supplier of service itself. If the location of receiver is not known, then the location of supplier of service itself is the place of supply. So that will be the place of supply. Correct. You all have given correct answer that in case of a dentist who doesn't know the address of his patient, the place of supply will be the location of the supplier itself. Now let's get into the specific scenarios. Services in relation to an immovable property are lodging, accommodation in a hotel, boat, vessel, etc., where the services are in relation to any immovable property, or lodging, accommodation in a hotel, boat, vessel, or accommodation in an immovable property for social, business, religious, or cultural functions. So any such kind of services which is linked or related to an immovable property. Now, अगर वो immovable property India में situated है, then the location of such immovable property, boat or vessel. जैसे आप बैक वाटर्स जाते हैं केरला में, वो बोट है, कहाँ पे लोकेटेड है, दैट इज आल्सो ट्रीटेड एज अ इमूवेबल प्रॉपर्टी. इवन दो बोट मूव हो रहा है, लेकिन बोट बहुत ज्यादा मूव नहीं हो सकता है ना, तो इसीलिए बोट को भी इमूवेबल प्रॉपर्टी के कैटेगरी में इंक्लूड कर दिया गया है, ताकि फिर उसका कोई ये ना बोले कि एक स्टेट से दूसरे स्टेट मूव हो रहा है तो फिर गड़बड़ हो. इसलिए वेयर एवर अ होटल, बोट और वेसल इज लोकेटेड, for that, if it is located in India, then the location of such immovable property, if you're going for a hotel stay, where that hotel is located, that is the place of supply. Okay, so if that is in India, which place it is located, that will be the place of supply. But if it is outside India, then the place of supply will be the location of the recipient. Understood? अगर immovable property India में हो गया, तो then it is that place. लेकिन इमोबल प्रॉपर्टी आउटसाइड हो गया तो एक्सपोर्ट में नहीं माना जाएगा. Why? Because हमने स्टार्टिंग में कह दिया कि वेयर द लोकेशन ऑफ सप्लायर एंड रिसिपिएंट, लोकेशन ऑफ द रिसिपिएंट इंडिया. इस केस में लोकेशन ऑफ रिसिपिएंट तो इंडिया में है, लेकिन प्लेस ऑफ सप्लाई आउटसाइड इंडिया है. मतलब वो फॉरेन कस्टमर है, कस्टमर तो इंडियन है, बट आप दे रहे हो उसको फॉरेन ट्रिप. जैसे एक ट्रिप एडवाइजर है, वो इंडिया में है, मैं भी इंडिया में हूँ, वो मुझे दे रहा है पैकेज फॉर यूरोप, तो मैं वहां पे जाके आऊंगा सर, स्टे वहां पे करूंगा. सो प्लेस ऑफ सप्लाई डजंट बिकम यूरोप. करेक्ट? बिकॉज द पर्सन हु इज प्रोवाइडिंग मी सर्विस वो इंडिया में है, और द पर्सन हु इज रिसीविंग द सर्विस इज आल्सो इन इंडिया. सो दोनों इंडिया में है, तो फिर द प्लेस ऑफ सप्लाई विल नॉट बिकम in case of normal scenario जो immobile property होता है, in case the location of this immobile property of is outside India, place of supply will come back to India, and where the location of the recipient is there, that will become the place of supply, because consume कौन कर रहा है, consume ये customer कर रहा है, and outside है तो फिर tax छूटना नहीं चाहिए. That's why the rules are very smartly and very cleverly defined कि where it is outside India, where the immobile property ship or port is outside India, the place of supply will be the location of the recipient. Okay. Now, they have specifically said further things that where it is directly in relation to an immobile property, all of this will be that it will be the place where the services are provided. They have categorized कि ऐसे हो सकता है कि services are directly in relation to the immobile property. Which one? Architects, interior decorators, surveyors or engineers or estate agents. जो real estate agents होते हैं, architects होते हैं, जो engineers होते हैं, उन सब का they are directly related to the immobile property. So a architect can be sitting in Jammu and Kashmir, but अगर वो architectural service दे रहा है for a property which is there in Kerala, the place of supply will be Kerala itself. So वहां से वो जो भी सर्विस दे रहा है उसके लिए IGST चार्ज करेगा. Then second is granting of rights. Granting of rights to use immobile property are for carrying out or coordination of construction work. तो आप कुछ आपकी लैंड है, आप वो दे रहे हो for any construction work. If you are granting any rights, still it will be the location where the immobile property is located. Then lodging accommodation, this we know, hotels, inns, guest house, homestays, clubs, campsites, yeah, houseboat. सभी के लिए where that houseboat, where that hotel is located, that is the place of supply. And then accommodation in immobile property for organizing. जैसे आप कुछ accommodation ले रहे हो for organizing any marriage or reception or any other matters or any official social cultural or religious activities. कोई भी जगह आप या फिर पर्सनल वजह से ले रहे हो या फिर ऑफिशियल वजह से, बिजनेस मीटिंग की वजह से, एनी काइंड ऑफ सोशल एक्टिविटी इंक्लूडिंग सर्विसेज प्रोवाइडेड इन रिलेशन टू सच फंक्शन एट सच प्रॉपर्टी. एफएन का मतलब फंक्शन हो गया, और एनी बिजनेस फंक्शन. So whatever function is being held in relation to an immobile property, where that immobile property is located, that will become the place of supply. And it says that अगर आप इस फंक्शन तो प्रोवाइड कर रहे हो लेकिन कुछ बाहर से मंगवा रहे हो सर्विसेज, बट दे आर एंसिलरी टू द सर्विसेज, देन आल्सो इट इज डायरेक्टली लिंक्ड टू दिस इमूवेबल प्रॉपर्टी. तो जहां पर ये इमूवेबल प्रॉपर्टी है वहां पर ही प्लेस ऑफ सप्लाई माना जाएगा. ओके, then services in relation to an immovable property, we understood that instances where immovable property boat vessel is located in more than one state. तो हमने देखा कि जब एक स्टेट में समझ गए, लेकिन अगर more than one state में located है तब क्या होगा? तब होगा कि proportion, you will take the proportion to the value for which the service is determined in terms of the contract. आपने कह दिया कि इस स्टेट में इतना चार्ज करूंगा, इस स्टेट के लिए इतना चार्ज करूंगा. So you have contracted, then according to the contract you will charge that GST. Suppose आप केरला में हैं, कस्टमर आ रहा है बाहर से और बोल रहा है मुझे केरला, गोवा और कर्नाटका का एक पैकेज दे दो. तो आप केरला के स्टे के लिए इतना चार्ज कर रहे हो, गोवा के लिए इतना चार्ज कर रहे हो और कर्नाटका के लिए इतना चार्ज कर रहे हो. तो आपके अग्रीमेंट में डिटरमाइंड है. इफ इट इज डिटरमाइंड तो प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. For same Kerala to Kerala, you will charge CGST, SGST. For Kerala to Goa and Kerala to Karnataka, you will charge IGST. Correct? But अगर डिटर्मिनेटिव नहीं है, आपने फुल बल्क पैकेज ले लिया है कि मेरे को तीनों के लिए टोटल प्राइस दो, इसका मतलब क्या हुआ? देयर इज अ नो कॉन्ट्रैक्ट और अग्रीमेंट. इन केस ऑफ एब्सेंस ऑफ कॉन्ट्रैक्ट और अग्रीमेंट, रूल 4 ऑफ IGST रूल्स जाना पड़ेगा. वो रूल 4 आपको बताएगा कि क्या है, how will you determine the bifurcation and how much will be the GST you will charge. तो रूल 4 के लिए हम जाते हैं नेक्स्ट स्लाइड में. रूल 4 says very simply where the lodging is in a property located in multiple states. ठीक है, wherever there is a property और आपका मल्टीपल स्टेट्स में आपको स्टे दिया गया है, then number of nights stayed in such property. सपोज एक प्रॉपर्टी है और 2 स्टेट के अंदर आपको सर्विस दिया गया है कि आपको 5 दिन कर्नाटका में रहना है, 3 दिन आपको बॉर्डर स्टेट गोवा में रहना है. तो फिर 5:3 इस प्रोपोर्शन में यू विल पे द GST. क्लियर नो? बिकॉज इट इज वेरी क्लियर कि आपके पास तो बाइफर्केशन नहीं है. यू हैव नॉट एंटर्ड इनटू अ contract saying that 5 lakhs will be for Karnataka, 3 lakhs will be for Goa. You have just entered ki total 10 lakhs ka package hai. So in that 10 lakhs, you said that you will give them 5 days in Karnataka, 3 days in Goa. So 5:3 ratio ho gaya hai. Then if the accommodation is an immovable property for organizing events or lodging where property is located in 2 contiguous states, we calculate on day wise. Correct. Day wise मतलब number of nights stay, because day में stay नहीं होता है. You may go out and come back, stay the night. So it will be the number of nights stayed in such property. Now accommodation in an immovable property for organizing events or lodging where property is located in 2 contiguous states. Contiguous states का मतलब हुआ है जहाँ पे एक प्रॉपर्टी है 2 स्टेट्स के बीच में है. Then the area of immovable property lying in each state. जैसे बैंगलोर, कर्नाटका और तमिलनाडु के बॉर्डर बहुत पास में है. उस बॉर्डर में कुछ रिसोर्ट आ गया है, तो फिर उस रिसोर्ट वाले को क्या चार्ज करना है? एरिया ऑफ द इमूवेबल प्रॉपर्टी लाइंग इन स्टेट्स. तो जितना प्रॉपर्टी का मेजरमेंट तमिलनाडु में है वो तमिलनाडु में टैक्स पे करेगा, जितना प्रॉपर्टी कर्नाटका में वो कर्नाटका को टैक्स पे करेगा. Correct, Swati. Hosur is the border state. So whichever is the size of that resort, how much of it is in Tamil Nadu border, how much of it is in Karnataka border, that will determine the place of supply. And if the lodging is in a houseboat or vessel, then the time spent on the vessel in each state, which means what? अगर मैं एक बैकवाटर्स का लेता हूँ and it doesn't stay in one place, it gets traveled. से वो केरला से शुरू करता है, केरला से जाता है तमिलनाडु. If it is fully in Kerala, तो फिर प्रॉब्लम ही नहीं है. That place of supply will be Kerala. But if it is moving boat or a moving vessel, जैसे क्रूज वगैरह जाता है, then the total time spent on vessel in each state. So the pilot or the charter of that vessel will know that where are we there, right? So how much time he is spending in each state, wherein the declaration is made by the service provider. So service provider है वो declare करेगा that this many hours you spent in this state, this many hours you spent in the other state. On that basis, you will decide this. Clear? So this is what Rule 4 says, where in case of service is in relation to immovable property and where you are getting confused where 2 states are getting involved. Any doubts here? Clear till now? So we'll go to the next set of services. 12.4. 12.4 says restaurant and catering services. So in case of a restaurant and catering service, personal grooming, fitness, beauty and healthcare services will be the place of supply will be where the services are actually performed. जहां पर भी सर्विस एक्चुअल परफॉर्म हो रहा है, जैसे हेल्थ केयर में आपको हॉस्पिटल जाना पड़ेगा, so where that hospital is providing that service, that is the place of supply. In case of any kind of beauty and health services, you will have to go to the saloon. That where is that saloon located? That will be the place of supply. या फिर it is possible that that person comes to you, जैसे आपने beauty treatment लिया, makeup treatment लिया है, and that person is coming and providing you some service. Then if that person comes and provides service at your place, then that will become the place of supply. Then that is 12.4 on specific kind of services which are performance based services, where it is to be performed, then there it is actually conducted, or where the person is involved, that is the place of supply. Next is any kind of training and performance appraisal services. The place of supply in relation to training and performance appraisal depends whether the supply is B2B and B2C. हमको पता है B2B and B2C. So जब B2B service होता है, then the place of supply is the location of such person. Okay, where is the recipient's place? That is the place of supply in case of a B2B transaction. In case of a B2C, जब a company which is not registered और वो किसी training service ले रहा है for its employees, correct? So the place of supply in such case will be the place where the service is actually performed. Okay, now let's take a scenario. A company has a corporate training event. A company is registered under GST. The service provider and service receiver, both of them are in the state of Andhra Pradesh. Now, they say that to do this training, we will go to a destination. So they go to Goa, और गोवा में training conduct करते हैं. So will the place of supply become Goa or will it become Hyderabad itself? Ayushi saying if B2B, Hyderabad, both are registered. What are others thinking? Swati is also saying Hyderabad. Right. Since even though the place of actual performance is in Goa, but who is the ultimate recipient? The company is the one who is benefiting. The service receiver is the company itself. So that's why in case of registered person, the rule says where if it is a B2B supply, then the place of supply is the location of that such person. But if that same company, if it is unregistered, then the Goa will become the place of supply, because in that case, the place of supply is the place where the service is actually performed. The service is actually provided, the training is provided in Goa, and the place of supply will be Goa itself. So the trainer will bill to a local person, a IGST will be paid, will be billed by him. Next kind of services, the such what these is very easy to understand, but you have to remember a lot of things because each of these services are different and the place of supply is different. So you have to be careful and remember that, okay, this is a service and this is the criteria. So very good thing what the institute has done is at the end of your chapter, they have given points to recapitulate. So that will help you to kind of sum up and memorize what is the service and what is the place of supply. Okay. Next kind of service is service by way of admission to events, amusement park, and other places. So in this case, what is the place of supply when for any kind of entry charges? So what you buy at the event is separate. The entry charge, because this is service in relation to admission to that event, will be where the service are provided way of admission to cultural, sports, educational, scientific, entertainment, and artistic events. And any kind of services provided for admission and ancillary services, the place of supply will be the place where the event is actually held or where the such park is located. तो जहां पे आपको entry दे रहे हैं, wherever you're getting entry for, that will be the place of supply. So 12.6 and 12.7 will be a little different. 12.6 is for admission to that event. 12.7 is organizing that event. To conduct that event, you will have an organizer. So organization of events are assigning of sponsorship to such events. This is different from the previous one because 12.6 only says about entry to that event. Now 12.7 says organizing that events. In case of organizing an event where the recipient is registered, then the location of recipient is the place of supply. When you're organizing any event and where it is generally event will be made to a registered person. So when the recipient is registered, then the location of the recipient. When the event is done for a recipient who is not registered, it could be that a foreign company is coming in and telling you, please hold my event. Possible, right? So in such scenarios, they are not registered in India. So what will be the place of supply? When the event is in India, then the location where the event is held. Okay. Now, if the supplier is in India, recipient is outside India, he is not registered, but he conducts an event in India. Then where that event is held, like our Goa example, same where the event is held, that is a place of supply. Now let's go to a scenario where the event is held outside India. Okay. But the recipient is India because location of supplier and recipient are in India. Correct? So we started this provision itself कि 12 तभी apply होगा जब location of supplier and place of supply, location of supplier and recipient both are in India. So if both are in India and they hold the event outside, the corporate training मुझे चाहिए और my employees outside India में registered नहीं हो, अब क्या करोगे? Then the recipient where he is located, that will become the place of supply. Got this? That where supplier is here, receiver is here, event is outside, still it will be the tax which is India because beneficiary कौन है इसका? The beneficiary is the person who is paying consideration for organizing the event. He is in India, so that will become the place of supply. Then 12.7 says about organizing of events or assignment of sponsorship to that events where the event is held, same scenario where the event is held in more than one state or union territory and a consolidated amount is charged. Event is not conducted in one state, conducted in 5 states. Now, if you are supplying it to a registered person, you tell me what is the place of supply? Is it 5 states to be bifurcated? Proportional as entered in the contract, says Om Krishna. And Swati and Abhishek are conflicting, saying that it is the location of the recipient. Kushi and Ayushi also have joined and said that the location of the recipient. Om Krishna, यहाँ पे देखिए, we just mentioned that where the recipient is registered, तो फिर place of supply क्या होगा? Location of the recipient. अब उसी event अगर एक registered person को supply करते हो, तो फिर place of supply is the location of recipient. चाहे वो इस स्टेट में हो, दूसरे स्टेट में हो, किधर भी हो, चाहे इवेंट 5 स्टेट में भी हो। लेकिन अगर आप इवेंट कुछ कर रहे हो एक रजिस्टर्ड पर्सन के लिए, देन द प्लेस ऑफ सप्लाई विल बी द लोकेशन ऑफ रिसिपिएंट, वो चेंज नहीं होगा। करेक्ट? तो इसीलिए if the event is held in more than one state to a registered person, then place of supply will always be the location of recipient. Correct? तो registered person B2B supply या registered person को आप supply कर रहे हो, then will be the location of the recipient. And if it is to a unregistered person, तो क्या होगा? तो इसीलिए वहां पे बोला गया है where if it is made to unregistered person, then place of supply is deemed to be in each of the respective state or union territory in proportion to the value of service determined in terms of contract. तब कॉन्ट्रैक्ट देखना पड़ेगा, नॉट टू अ रजिस्टर्ड पर्सन। रजिस्टर्ड पर्सन को ठीक है, अनरजिस्टर्ड पर्सन के लिए आपका कॉन्ट्रैक्ट देखना पड़ेगा। अगर कॉन्ट्रैक्ट में भी नहीं है तो फिर आप रूल 5 में जाएंगे। रूल 5 जनरली एक्सेप्टेड अकाउंटिंग प्रिंसिपल क्या बोलता है, उसको फॉलो करना है। Yeah, so we're on this organizing and events. So when it is to a registered person, and if the event is held at multiple places also, it is where the location of the recipient is there. And if it is to an unregistered person, then generally accepted accounting principle will say that wherever the services are provided, that is the place of supply, that is where the event is held proportionately. That is for organizing events. Now, let's get into the next service, which is transportation of goods, including mail or courier. जो courier services होते हैं, उनके cases में या फिर postal services भी होते हैं, because there also involves transportation of goods, including mail or courier. The place of supply of services by way of transportation of goods, including by mail or courier, is the location of such person. Location of such person मतलब अगेन रजिस्टर्ड पर्सन, अब रजिस्टर्ड पर्सन जाता है कुरियर देने के लिए, कुरियर कंपनी चार्ज करती है सेइंग दैट ओके मेरे को कुरियर लेना है आपके ब्रांच ऑफिस दूसरे स्टेट से दूसरे स्टेट के लिए। फिर भी कॉन्ट्रैक्ट मेरा किसके साथ है, द मेन कंपनी। ओके, सो द कुरियर कंपनी इज लोकेटेड इन बैंगलोर and I am also located in Bangalore. I will tell them that I will give you some courier, but my branch is there in Tamil Nadu. Their courier also you have to give, but bill it to me. So even in such cases where the services are provided to a registered person, the location of such person will be the place of supply. However, where such services are provided to an unregistered person, courier company के लिए कोई unregistered person आता है, the place of supply is the location at which such goods are handed over for their transportation. जहां से शुरू होता है, where the goods are onboarded, जैसे we had seen, right? Where the goods are onboarded. Similarly, here also where the goods are handed over for their transportation, not terminated, not the destination. Where the goods are handed over, that will be the place of supply. If the goods are transported outside India, तो फिर recipient India है नहीं, In such case, the destination will be outside India. So this is very important. तो फिर ये export हो जाएगा. Only in this scenario, you will see that even that when the destination of such goods is outside India, then that will become the place. In all other scenarios, we had said that where it is export, कि मैंने event outside किया है या फिर immovable property outside है, फिर भी location of recipient will be the place of supply. 12(8) में be very careful. 12(8) में you are getting that benefit कि जब destination of such goods is outside India, आपको outside India का benefit मिलेगा, आपको export का benefit मिलेगा. ठीक है? Then 12(9) says that passenger transportation services, which means that in case of any passenger transportation services, so it could include all of this. They say it will include all your train tickets, bus tickets, flight tickets also, because there also it involves passenger transportation services. So all passenger transportation services to a recipient, registered recipient, will be the location of such recipient. जहां पर आप हो, आपका GST देते हो, उस हिसाब से GST चार्ज किया जाएगा. For what? For passenger transportation services and issue of right to passage for future use. Now, general ticket you buy, understandable, but this is a special case which says that where you issue of right to passage for future use and the point of boarding is not known at the time or issue of right to passage. What it means is that you go and negotiate with the flight company saying that, boss, every time I book flight tickets, it's very costly. So you do one thing. Anywhere I travel, you will give one fixed price. I will buy 10 open tickets from you. So when you buy 10 open tickets, the price is negotiated saying that 5,000 rupees per ticket, 5,000 into 10, 50,000 you're paid. Now, at the time of issue of those tickets, neither the flight company knows, neither you knows where you will travel from to where. Okay. So in that scenario, still, since it is to a registered person, then the place of supply will be the location where the recipient is registered. But if recipient is unregistered, in such cases of this open tickets, again, if the address of the person is known, then the location. In any other cases, the location of supplier of service. It turns back to the location of supplier of service. And in case of passenger transportation, location where the passenger embarks, मतलब जहां से he is starting his travel. Location where the passenger embarks on the conveyance for a continuous journey. Okay. Point is where he is embarking. So if the train is from Delhi to Bangalore, in between Mumbai, I am an unregistered person. I step in at Mumbai. So even though the train has started from Delhi, that will not become the place of supply. Place of supply will be Mumbai itself, because the participant is unregistered. Location will be the where the passenger embarks on the conveyance. Okay. Now I have a connecting train. So will the place of supply change? No, because it's a continuous journey. The place of supply will be the place where you embark on that. Okay. Then issue of right to passage, if same open 10 tickets are given to a person who is not registered, if the address of the unregistered person is known, right? Because you cannot wait till because place of supply and time of supply is also important. Time of supply in case of services, when does it trigger? It triggers when you receive the money. So you have to discharge the GST then. So if you do not know from where to where you will go, you cannot say that today I don't know, so I will not pay the GST. Once he comes and books the ticket, that time I will pay. If he's an unregistered person, if he is coming and booking the ticket, right? If it's an unregistered person, the location of such unregistered person, agar uska address hai. If that person's address is not there, then the location of supplier itself will become the place of supply. Very simple. Okay. So that is on passenger transport services. Next is services supplied on board a conveyance. So that example what I gave, uska answer I want here, because here it says So any services supplied on board a conveyance, location of the first scheduled point of departure of that conveyance for the journey. This is different from goods supplied on board. For goods that are supplied on board a conveyance, the place of supply was location at which the goods were taken on board. Okay. Now here, there is no distinction made between registered and unregistered person. So now you tell me, for that music, for that movie which you are using, are buying it from, same example, I'll repeat it, Delhi to Kolkata flight, and that same flight is moving from Kolkata to Mumbai. Now, while you were on the way to Kolkata to Mumbai, you booked a movie. So, will that place of supply be Kolkata, Delhi, or Mumbai? Khushi is saying Kolkata, everybody else is saying Delhi. So the majority wins as per democracy, and the correct answer is yes, because Khushi, the place of supply for services will be the location of the first scheduled point of departure of that conveyance. Even though you may board anywhere, but for services, so इसीलिए distinction करने के लिए I put that question there so that you get confused and you get resolved here, ताकि ये दिमाग में रहेगा आपके कि services है, so it is not where you board it. For services, it is the location of the first scheduled point of departure. That is the place of supply for services. For goods, it is where it is being boarded, where it is on board. Clear? Services supplied on board a conveyance and goods supplied on board a conveyance. Next is telecommunication services. All these services are now very much which we use in day-to-day life. Telecommunication services, fixed communication line, lease circuit, internet line, जो आपका घर पे टेलीफोन लाइन आता है, that is under fixed communication. Lease circuits, internet, Wi-Fi जो डालते हैं घर पे, cable और dish TV. The location where the telecommunication line, so these are all line services where the communication line, lease circuit or cable connection or dish antenna is installed. जहां पर आपका installation रहेगा, that will be the place of supply. Registered, unregistered, doesn't matter, because these are all services which are actually performed. So where these services are being installed, घर पे DTH है, ठीक है, जहां पर आपका DTH है या पोस्टपेड बिल है BSNL का, तो जहां पर आपका फोन इंस्टॉल किया गया है, दैट विल बी द प्लेस ऑफ सप्लाई. पोस्टपेड मोबाइल के केस में तो कोई इंस्टॉलेशन नहीं होता है. पोस्टपेड मोबाइल एंड इंटरनेट कनेक्शन, यहां पर इफ द location of the billing address is known, then the of the recipient of services, then the location of the billing address. अगर billing address है तो फिर billing address generally postpaid में रहता है. Then location of supplier of service if the address is not available. जैसे postpaid में address नहीं लिया भूल के, then location of supplier. Then you have services in terms of telecommunication itself, where prepaid mobile connection, internet, and DTH services, recharge coupons are provided. Where you bought it, fine. Now you have to recharge it every time, right? So for that recharge, you go to a selling agent, a reseller agent. Then where the address of that selling agent, distributor, or reseller is there, that will be the place of supply. Because even though it is your place, but you may recharge it anywhere. Correct? You can go to another state also and recharge. So that's why in case of recharging agents, the place where the service provider, that is the reseller or a distributor or a selling agent is located, that will be the place of supply. Now, other kind of services could be the services provided by any person to final subscriber, location where such prepayment is received. Now, any voucher which you recharge, the place where such prepayment is there. Now, you can make prepayment online also, correct? On Paytm, on Amazon, you can do your recharge. We had said that where such reseller is located, but in case of online recharges, the location of recipient is the place of supply, because physical may the location of supplier is known. In case of online, location of recipient is known. So where you do online recharge, then the location of recipient is the place of supply. Very confusing, but understand the logic, then you'll get it. So when physically, when you go, location of supplier, when you do it online, then location of the recipient. In all other cases, the address of the recipient on records. If the address is not available, location of supplier. So this is the default case, I would say. Wherever it is to an unregistered person or when it is performance driven thing, then the address of the recipient or the location of supplier if address is not available. Okay. Now, financial and stockbroking services, where the recipient's details are available in records, then the location of the recipient. If the location of the recipient is not known here, then the location of the supplier. Again, here what we are talking is financial and stockbroking, which means banking services. Any services by the bank will get covered here, and services of a stockbroker, job purchase and sale of securities karte ho, and you're dealing through a stockbroker. That services are covered here. Your recipient's address is generally known to them. So your address will become the place of supply. Then insurance services, again, same like banking services, location of the recipient. And if the location of recipient is not known, then the supplier of services. So banking, financial services, and banking, financial services, stockbroking, and insurance services. For all of this four, the rule is same, the location of the recipient. And if the location of recipient is not known, then the supplier of services. Advertisement services. Advertisement services, when it is provided to the government, specifically it says that when the advertisement services are provided to the government, where it involves dissemination of the material supplied to the government, our statutory body will be the location of such dissemination. Jaise popular case is Beti Padhao, Beti Bachao was the campaign which was given by the government. The government said that you give this advertisement in trains, give it in newspapers, give it in billboards, various places. So wherever you are disseminating, then the location of such dissemination will be the place of supply. Where it is saying that, okay, Karnataka के लिए मैं एक contract दूंगा, Tamil Nadu के लिए एक contract दूंगा, then this person's location is known that you will do this marketing of my campaigns, of government campaigns in this state. The place of supply is clear. But where it is disseminated over number of states, जैसे एक advertisement company है, who will do the advertisement in multiple states. Full South India, there is one person. Then one state is not identified. Where it is disseminated over number of states, then each of such states are union territories where the advertisement is broadcasted. Each of those states where you are doing it, that will be the place of supply. Now, you cannot determine it so easily. So then what you will do? You will go to rule 3 and decide it. So what does rule 3 say? We'll go to rule 3. Rule 3 in a nutshell says this. Proportion. So various proportions, various things. Now, for each type of advertisement, Rule 3 of the IGST rule says that manner of determination of proportionate value of services in the absence of a contract in respect of section 1214. So, not for all advertisements, advertisement for government specifically, it says this, that when the advertisement is in newspaper and publications, okay, when the central government gives the ads, it will give in newspapers of multiple states. Then the amount payable for publishing and advertisement in all the editions of the newspaper which are published in each state. So what charges the newspaper charges on that proportionate. जैसे एक स्टेट में 2 न्यूज़पेपर है, एक और स्टेट में 5 न्यूज़पेपर है, then that 5 newspapers, what is the publishers charged? Okay, that will be the proportion. Then advertisement to printed material, then the amount payable for the distribution of specific numbers. How many numbers of printed materials, how many number of pamphlets you're saying, that will be the proportion. So proportion is correct, but what will be the basis for that proportion? This rule says it. Then in case of advertisement of any hoardings, then what is the hoardings people charging? That will be the proportion. And advertisement on train. So if there is a train, it will not go in one state, it will go in multiple states. So train में डाल दिया, अब ये train जा रही है Bangalore to Kerala. So फिर how much of the railway track is in Bangalore and how much of the railway track is in Kerala for that train? That information you cannot measure it, but that will be given by the railway authorities, right? On that proportion you will take it. So most of my examples will be in Bangalore or Kerala because I am from this region. Okay. Then advertisement on the back of a utility bill of oil and gas companies. जो gas companies हैं, उनका bill आता है, उसके पीछे भी advertisement होता है. Then again, amount payable to each state or territory on the bills pertaining, again payment. So most of this rule, I will say, it is on the basis of whatever payment it made. Again, on the railway tickets, it says on the ratio of number of railway stations. So this is the various proportion which is there. I will share this also with you. You will have to really mark up this. No other options in this case. There's no logic which is used. Okay. So that was on advertisement services to the government. So these are the 12 rules. So if any of our services falls under 12.3 to 12.14, we will apply the rule. Otherwise, we'll go to 12.2. 12.2 again. Let's go back and see what does it say. 12.2 says, are we applying 12.3 to 12.14? Yes, then we will apply that relevant. Otherwise, we'll go to 12.2. 12.2 says, where you're supplying it to a registered person, the location of such person. If you're supplying it to an unregistered person, then his place, if his address is known. If the address is not known, then the location of the service provider itself. So that was on all the place of supply for services. Now we'll get into what is a interstate supply. So this was the major chunk. Now it's only theoretical aspects in terms of what we already know. It is stated here. What is interstate supply? Interstate supply section 7 says, what is the interstate supply? When you make supply of goods or services where the location of supplier and place of supply are in 2 different states. It could be 2 different states or 2 different union territories, or a state and union territory. It is an interstate supply. But it says that where the supply in the taxable territory not being an intrastate supply and not specified elsewhere, that will also come in. जैसे कुछ confusing situations हो जाते हैं where it is confusing and it is not determinable. Okay, but you know for sure that it is not falling under the definition of an intrastate supply. So फिर don't worry, it will all be under interstate. क्योंकि कल के दिन problem नहीं होना चाहिए कि there is no clarity or there is no provision, so there is no charge. Like there is a case of BC Srinivasa Shetty, famous in Income Tax Act, when it says that there is no charging section, so there will not be any levy. So there has to be clear charge, only then levy will apply. So to make that point clear that charging has to happen, that's why they have brought in over here. Where it is not determinable, then it will be an interstate supply. Whatever residuary things are there, that will be an interstate supply. What is intrastate supply? Subject to the provisions of section 10, supply of intrastate can't be that what is not interstate, because intrastate has to be defined. So they've defined what is an intrastate supply. Supply of goods where the location of supplier and place of supply are in the same state or in the same union territory shall be treated as intrastate supply, provided there's a provision which says that the following supply of goods shall never be treated as an intrastate. So even अगर same state में आप supply कर रहे हो, but one unit is in SEZ, then it is not an intrastate. And again, goods imported and exported, we have dealt with this. Goods imported till they cross the customs frontier will not be treated as an intrastate. And supplies made to a tourist is also not an intrastate. Because tourist ka provision kya hai? If he's a tourist and if he declares it, then you will have to charge him IGST. Why? Because they get refund. They're supposed to get refund when they go out of India. So that is the law which says that in 3 scenarios, even if it is intrastate, you will not charge GST. You will not charge intrastate GST. One is supply to SEZ. One is in case of import and export transactions, and supply made to a tourist. Even if it is within the state, you will not charge CGST and SGST. You will charge IGST. Then, subject to the provisions of 12, supply of services where the location of supplier and place of supply are in same state or union territory shall be treated as an intrastate supply. Provided same, if you're making services supply to a SEZ, also it will be treated as an interstate supply. Now, this act says that we have discussed this, that an establishment in India and any establishment outside India, establishment in a state and any establishment outside the state, and establishment in a state and any other establishment having separate registrations. What are they called? They are all called as establishment of distinct person. Okay. And a person carrying on through a branch or agency or representation office in any territory shall be treated as having establishment in that territory. So, जो भी आप branch के through apply कर रहे हो, that will be treated as having a branch in that place. Now, what happens in case of supplies in territorial waters? Within the state, import, export, SEZ, everything is covered. Now, what happens if you're dealing in territorial waters? When you're dealing with any kind of supply in a territorial water, where the location of supplier is in the territorial water, or the location of recipient is in territorial water. Now, ये territorial water के case में कौन सा state होगा? Because you don't have any state in the territorial water. What is territorial water? First of all, up to 12 nautical miles from the baseline. Okay, up to 12 nautical miles from the baseline, it is a territorial water. Now, this is India. Now, there is this is called as coastal land, correct? मैं south का roughly draw कर रहा हूँ. Now, in this case, 1 minute. This is the south part of India, right? Now, there is this place, which is the baseline. यहाँ से 12 nautical miles. This is called as territorial waters. Beyond this, we know we have read in the chapter of India. So up to 12 nautical miles, if there is any kind of a business activity, right? That is called as territorial water. ये territorial water पे जो भी transaction हो रहा है, वो इस state को जाएगा या इस state को जाएगा? Because it is moving from the state, correct? So what happens? Example could be a oil rig. There is an oil rig over here which is getting explored. So there is transaction, right? So what will happen? Who will get the GST for that? For the purpose of this act, the place of supply, this is the place of supply. It shall be deemed to be in a coastal state or a union territory where the nearest point of the appropriate baseline is located. Now the nearest baseline is located here, and if there is a state here, that will go to this state. You will see this commonly in the coastal states like Bangalore, Gujarat, Bombay. In Bombay, you have Bombay High. right, where oil exploration happens. So the place of supply of Bombay High will be treated as the state of Maharashtra. So nearest coastal state or union territory, rightly said by participants, that will be the place of supply. Got it? So that is the place of supply in case of a territorial water. So that covers our concept of place of supply. Any questions? Okay, so place of supply, as I said, it is lengthy, but the concepts you'll have to see, just use 12.3 to 12.14. I think those are the provisions which you have to concentrate. Other provisions you can understand, but 12.3 to 12.14, you will have to read and by heart it. Okay. Since this concept is clear, we have understood, we will, no question. Okay, there's a question. Okay, no questions. Fine, then we'll take a break and break for the next class. We'll call it a day and we'll see you in the next class. No MCQs for this, but when I upload, if there are MCQs, I will upload it. But this chapter was lengthy enough, so I thought MCQs would not be required. What I will do is I'll prepare the MCQs and I upload it soon. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yes, sir.